Okay guys, so today we'll be doing supply and demand. Well, demand, supply and market equilibrium. Let's get into it. These are our learning objectives today. And let's just dive straight into it. So what is a market? So we have here a market is a mechanism that allows buyers and sellers of a specific good or service to interact in order to facilitate an exchange. The price that the individuals pay during the transaction may be determined by a number of factors, but price is often determined by the forces of demand and supply. Markets do not necessarily need to be a physical location. Internet-based stores and auction sites are all markets in which transactions can take place entirely online or where the two parties do not ever need to be physically met. To me, I would say market is like a mechanism that facilitate the interaction of buyers and sellers with the view of purchasing and selling goods and services. That is like my definition. So what is demand? We have here demand is the willingness and ability of consumers to buy a range of quantities of a good at a range of prices during a given time period, with all other things remaining constant. There are three aspects of demand that are worthy of further consideration. That is the willingness and ability, the range of prices and quantities, and a given time period. So willingness and ability. Effective demand requires both willingness and ability. To demand a good, a buyer must have the willingness to buy it. For example, Michael doesn't like coffee. As such, Michelle does not have doesn't like coffee. As such, she has no demand for coffee because she has no willingness. Demand. Demand, however, also requires ability. A buyer must have enough income to make a purchase. Lisa, for example, loves coffee. Unfortunately, she lacks the income needed to buy coffee. As such, she has no demand for coffee because she has no ability to buy it. Range of prices and quantities. So demand is a range of prices and quantities. It includes not just the quantity purchased at the current price, but any and all quantities that will be purchased at other prices higher or lower. For example, let's say um, Michelle, for example, is not willing and able to purchase coffee if the price is like 50 per cup. However, if the price is like $30, he would be inclined to purchase a few cups. If the price is even lower, say $15 per cup, Michelle will purchase an even larger quantity. Yeah. Given time period, demand is identified for a specific time period. Yeah, demand is defined for a specific time period. The analysis of coffee demand needs information on the time period. Is the demand for an hour, a day, a week, a month, a year, or a decade? We have to take into consideration these. Then we have the law of demand. The law of demand states that there is a negative relationship between the price of a good and the quantity demanded. As price increases, the quantity demand falls, and vice versa. As the price decreases, the quantity demand will increase. All of this assumes that all other factors remain constant, ceteris paribus. So the law of demand is attributed to two effects, that is the income effect and the substitution effect. The income effect. This is a change in the purchasing power of income caused by a change in the price of a good, which then affects how much of the good is purchased. If the price increases, for example, buyers cannot purchase as much of the good with existing income. So if the price of the good increases, then the buyer lose some amount of purchasing power at the current income level. And then we have the substitution effect. This is a change in the relative price of substitute goods caused by a change in the price of a good, which then affects how much of the good is purchased. So if the price increases, for example, buyers tend to purchase less of the good because they are purchasing more of the other good. And then we have the demand schedule, which is a table that shows the quantities of a product that consumers will be willing to buy at different prices. This is shown in table 1 below. And we have the demand curve. A demand curve is a graphical representation of how much of a good a consumer will be willing to buy at different prices. You will note in a diagram above that quantity Q is measured along the horizontal axis, which is the x-axis, and price P is measured along the vertical axis, which is the y-axis. The demand curve typically has a downward sloping negative because it is downward sloping or negative because of the law of demand, which states that at a higher price, consumers will demand smaller quantities of the good, and at a lower price, more will be demanded. And then you could derive the market demand curve. The market demand curve shows the relationship between the total quantities of a good demanded by all consumers as a whole and the price they are willing to pay for it. This is simply derived by adding all the individual demand curves by a process known as horizontal summation. See that AL's demand and B's demand, we add it together to get the market demand. And here's an exercise for you guys to do if you all want to practice. You guys could just pause the video and just, complete the table. Movements along the demand curve. Movements along the demand curve are brought about by a change in the price of the good or service under consideration and by nothing else. So just a change in the price of the good. Price changes have two possibilities: a fall in price resulting in an increased quantity demanded, an increase in price resulting in a decrease in quantity demanded. So movement along the demand curve, the diagram below shows that as price is increased from P sub 1 to P sub 2, P sub 1 to P sub 2, the quantity demanded will decrease from Q sub 1 to Q sub 2. Sorry about that. Yes. And the opposites, well, this is vice versa. The demand below shows that as price decreases, quantity demand increases. Shift of the demand curve. The demand curve can either shift to the right or the left. An increase or decrease in demand, which results in a shift of the demand curve, is brought about by a factor other than price. These factors are called determinants or conditions of demand. A rightward shift indicates that an increased quantity is demanded at all price levels and is termed an increase in demand. A leftward shift indicates that a decreased quantity is demanded at all price levels and are termed a decrease in demand. Shifts versus movements. Changes in the price of the good leads to a change in the quantity demanded, causing a movement along the demand curve, while changes in the non-price factors that influence demand lead to a change in demand, causing a shift of the demand curve. You guys need to differentiate between the two, because CXC usually asks you all to differentiate between the two. And then here's an exercise for you all to do: distinguish between a change in demand and a change in the quantity demanded. Just as an exercise. So factors influencing demand are also referred to as determinants of demand. So while demand price is the most important factor that affects the purchase of a good, it is not the only factor. There are other factors that influence the demand for a good or service. These determinants cause a change in demand for a good. That is, more or less of the good is purchased at existing prices. Income. This is a factor. The amount of income that buyers have available to spend will affect their ability to purchase a good. So where the increase in income leads to an increase in demand, the good is classified as a normal goods, for example, a car. If, however, the increase in income results in a decrease in demand, then the good is classified as inferior, for example, um, for example, rice. Taste and preference. A consumer's demand for a particular good will depend on that consumer's taste and preference. The satisfaction derived from a good affects the willingness to purchase a good. If buyers like a good more, then they buy more of a good. Prices of other goods. A change in the price of one good can affect the demand of a related good. The nature of this change depends on the nature of the relationship between the two goods. That is if it's a substitute or a complement good. Substitute goods are goods that can be consumed in place of each other. For example, butter and margarine. If the price of a substitute good increases, then buyers switch from that good and buy more of this good. This means that the demand for a good and the price of its substitute move in the same direction. Complements are goods that are consumed together, for example, bun and cheese. If the price of a complement good increases, then buyers buy less of both goods. This means that the demand for a good and the price of its complement move in opposite direction. So if a good is a complement, that means they are to be consumed together. And the price of the complement good increases when buyers buy less of both goods because they must be consumed together, in a sense. And then we have future expectations. Buyers decide how much to purchase based on a comparison of current and expected future prices and income. If buyers expect a higher price in the future, then they buy more of a good today. I mean, yes, because they will buy more of a good today because of a higher purchasing power. The income can purchase more of a good in the present than in the future. If consumers expect an increase in income, they may wait until that time to adjust their consumption. And then we have number of buyers. The total number of buyers participating in a market affects how much of a good is demanded. The greater the number of buyers in a market, the greater the demand for the good. And then we have seasonal factors affecting demand. I'm not gonna tell you all what is that's y'all a smart learner. Y'all could come up with some ideas, put it in the comment section. Tell me what y'all think is seasonal factors affecting demand and advertisements, as well as changes in the distribution of income and government influences. Innovation whereby obsolete commodities are replaced by new ones as well. And then y'all could explain the 4 factors other than prices affecting demand for ice cream. And that is it, guys. That is the video for today. The next part will be about supply. So look out for that one and see you all. Best of luck in all exams.